it.
So why didn't you do that when you're driving that Shelby at 66 miles an hour like a pansy?
I did not gas it. How fast do you think I got that thing going?
66 apparently.
66 miles an hour. Real cars, real guys, and real talk. Live from the Gearbox at Unique Classic Cars. Welcome to Motorhood. Welcome to Motorhood. This is the first broadcast, and it's going to be an inside look at one of the premier classic car dealerships in the country, and that's Unique Classic Cars right here in Mankato, Minnesota.
Here we are. We're on.
This is it. We're going to give you an inside look because there's so much that is involved versus just the car on the showroom floor, right? From the time it comes in, the mechanics look at it. It heads over to detail, and then it comes back to us. And it's a whole process. But what you're going to get here is not just the cars, but we're going to talk about life in general. Things that go on with us.
Yes.
Relatable stuff, right? Family life. We're going to talk about sports, which is obviously right now a big thing.
Yes, because football playoffs going on, yeah.
Have I had this discussion with you before? I don't think there is an entertainment entity out there right now that tops the National Football League.
Oh, they've got the world by the balls with that.
Yeah.
100%.
If you want money and advertising dollars, you cannot beat those guys right now. And it's all moving to paid platforms, by the way, which will be streaming and stuff like that. When I said that a few years ago, people looked at me like I was crazy. They did. So
right.
We're going to get into the NFL playoffs here in just a bit, but as we mentioned, an inside look at a classic car dealership and how it operates. Because, I mean, you and I could go through this building. I can, even after just selling for a year, I can go back to the shop and talk to the techs and point out individuals there that specialize in what we do, front office, detail, the body shop, all of it.
What really drives this business and what's going to drive this podcast is the passion behind it and the stories behind it. Because, we usually have around 200 cars in inventory, and there's all the steel, and in the case of a Corvette, you got the fiberglass and everything else. And that's the sexy part that you see, right? But the emotional tie to it, that's all the stories, all the history, whether people had a family member or a high school car, or, maybe they got lucky in the backseat of such and such a car, right? Whatever the memory is, that's what ties it all together.
The car knows.
The car
knows what happened in the backseat.
And a lot of people pray that car never talks, especially to their current wives. No.
That is the honest-to-God truth. But you're going to hear a lot of stories, man, because that's what it's about. The culture, I figured that out quick. It's about stories. Car guys like to talk.
Oh, yeah, that's a fact. I mean, case in point, right?
Right. About everything. So, as we had mentioned, the NFL playoffs, big business, not just here in the United States, but as they're trying to branch out now into Europe, Mexico, a lot of places around the globe. It will be global domination. Much like this podcast will be at some point.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Right? I mean, it's global or nothing.
There's not even a question. Okay, as far as this weekend, I know that there was a lot of people that thought the Ravens would give the Bills a hard time in that divisional playoff game. They did.
Until they started turning the ball over.
Until they started turning the ball over. And that, I mean, you can't talk about one moment and the whole season, but dropping that conversion. How do you feel when you go home, despite what your teammates tell you?
And here comes the Vikings, and we'll get into this in a minute. But the scarring that the Minnesota Vikings have given us. Now you watch Mark Andrews drop that. That is the most Viking thing that the team did right there. That's just what we do. I
can actually, since you bring that up, 1987 Darren Nelson.
Oh.
Do you remember that, or is that before your time? I am old.
Man, you're old.
I am old.
Was the football square still when you started watching, or how old are you, man?
Was it a stone? did the kicker have a permanent cast on his foot? Okay, so on that note, Patrick Mahomes' preferential treatment continues.
Stop it.
Come on, man. How can you say that?
That was not preferential treatment.
He always gets it. He's the villain in the NFL today, and he gets way more than Brady or any of those guys ever got.
Listen, I'll be the first to admit that was a BS call. The first roughing the passer or the helmet-to-helmet call was crap. It was the two defenders that clanged helmets. Patrick Mahomes is laying underneath. He didn't get hardly touched.
No.
So I'll be the first to admit that was garbage, but that's not Patrick Mahomes' fault. That was the ref's fault.
You don't believe that throughout the year he gets preferential treatment?
Nope.
Come on.
No.
Get
No.
out of here.
No.
He's the guy that they want in the playoffs to keep this simulation going, because that's what it's
simulation. Really,
my wife has been telling me that's got to be fixed, because all this past weekend I was like, I can't believe I'm seeing this, right?
Yeah.
With the Commanders handling the Lions like they did.
Yeah,
I was like, are you kidding me?
How about the Vikings and the Rams game? How about, you remember, go back to the game before, when we played them earlier in the year and they about ripped Sam Darnold's head off in the end zone? No face mask.
The face mask.
Phantom call. You want to talk about preferential treatment? In this game, they do a phantom call. A Viking kind of did pull a face mask. There's no flag on the field.
Nothing.
The referees huddle, and then all of a sudden there's a phantom. Not one time was there a yellow flag on the field.
Does it bother?
Are you kidding me?
Does it bother you that those guys never have to answer for anything they do?
It's unbelievable. There's a big push for it, and I'm 100% behind it. They need to be able to review penalties, or some of the penalties, especially if it's an injury-causing penalty, such as a face mask or a horse collar or that. They need to be able to review those and either call them back or have the ability to call them. It's frustrating.
It drives me nuts that they don't answer for any of this stuff.
Right.
And another thing that was brought up this past weekend, because the Philadelphia game and the Ravens and Chiefs, the weather. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of guys that don't believe that playoff games should be played with that as a determining factor. Mm-hmm. And you kind of got a good taste of that with the Rams, I think, specifically. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I can see where, obviously they typically, the Super Bowl isn't, affected by that very often, if ever. So there could be an argument there.
I don't know. Well, it's something to consider. But Vikings are out, but I know we've got a lot of guys around the country. And I'm inside. Is this one of those least masculine things? I'm an empath when it comes to Bills fans. I am. Because they've lost four. They've lost four. I'm riding them all the way through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of riding them, did you see one of the games with the Vikings?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Oh, you're riding them. Ooh. Is that going to hit the board?
Oh, that's right. Okay, so what we're talking about here is I may or may not have an unofficial list of the least masculine things George says as just in common conversation. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I wore a flannel shirt to school. Wow. I wore a flannel shirt to work. What the hell was that?
Coming to work here is kind of like going to school every day.
So I wear this flannel shirt to work, and we're literally by the coffee machine, and George is like, "Is that a new shirt?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Can I feel the fabric?"
It looks soft.
Who says that to another dude?
Hey, the first day that I started here, I called Jeff, the sales manager. I was coming in. I was like, "What should I wear?" And he was like, and that was the beginning of the list. And the sales guys had a running list.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they were like, it's going to hit the board.
Well, George, wear your shortest skirt and your darkest nylons, and come on in.
Let's quick elaborate on that shirt, though. It was fantastic. What was the brand on that? You can go ahead and mention it. We're not to that point yet.
It's a Dixon, and yes, we're not above taking sponsorships, by the way, if you're listening.
And you, by the way, in my own defense, you did peel up the corner of your shirt and show me the little fabric on the inside for cleaning your lenses.
Yes, that's fantastic. It's got a little bit of microfiber cloth there to clean your glasses on the inside of your shirt.
So I'm going to put you on the spot, because I did. I hung it out there. I'm saying Bills all the way. I hung it out there, and here we go again.
Here we go again.
Oh, boy. Our producer right now is actually having an aneurysm.
Literally has his hand on his forehead, doesn't he?
So I'll take Bills all the way. You have to pick somebody.
And I have to take the Chiefs. I've been not lifelong, 20-plus year fan, and I got to take the Chiefs. I do think that the Bills, this year's iteration of the Bills, is probably going to be the toughest they've seen. But Kansas City's proven that all they need is 13 seconds to put them away.
You're going to take the refs then? That's what you're going to do.
No.
I still can't believe that there's guys that are in denial. And it's not just him, but throughout the NFL and every season, going back to when I was a kid, there's always that guy that they want to protect to make sure he makes.
Yeah.
And continues, makes the next game.
I understand some of the optics are there, but, it's not the player's fault. If you want to be mad at the Zebras.
And we are. We are. You don't have to tell me that.
Yeah.
Speaking of warmer temps, you're heading down to Scottsdale, Arizona this week.
I am. We're going to go down to the Barrett-Jackson. It's billed as the world's greatest collector car auction, and it's quite an event. They do, there's usually around 1,000 cars there that'll run through the block, and it'll start out, kind of with your more so everyday cars, lower end meaning whatever under 30 grand or 40 grand, and then of course it ramps up the rest of the week, and that's when the 7 and 8 figure cars run through.
Wow.
And it's quite a production. But I go down there we used to be an exhibitor there, but then through that experience we've gotten to be pretty well known, and now we've got clients and friends, and they have us going to the hey, come over to my man cave, and then my gosh, there's some amazing man caves down there, by the way. But, man, these guys, they live, eat, and breathe it, and that's what this Motorhood, that's what this podcast is all about, is for the guys like that, and gals, by the way, that live, eat, and breathe this stuff. You just ooze it, and it's the camaraderie is unlike...
What's it like to ooze it?
I'm adding that to the list of least masculine things George has said. Wow. Man, you're on a roll.
Ooze. I just like that word,
I thought this
ooze.
list, maybe by the time we're done with the series of episodes here, I'd have a full list. You're like halfway there, and we're not even halfway through the first one.
Is there a list of words that your wife absolutely hates?
Oh,
mine has it, and ooze is one of them. And
how about
moist.
M-word?
Yeah, moist. and I don't just say moist. Whenever I use the word, it's like, boy, that's moist.
Yeah, and then you say it like a creep, too. That makes it even worse, right? Speaking of creep, hey, there's Jay.
Yeah, Jay. By the way, another Chiefs
our video
fan.
guy, and a Chiefs fan, yeah.
He's
exactly.
a video guy. He's a Chiefs fan. And he's openly admits he's given up that Mahomes gets preferential treatment.
He's owning it now.
I'm just telling you, he's going to own it. He's going to own it. One thing we do regularly here at Unique is we take a trip down the aisle. It's kind of a walkthrough with the sales guys. That happens on Mondays and usually Fridays as well. Find out what's new, what's on the showroom floor, and things to talk about. So you'll hear us as we do the podcast. Every time we do one, we'll highlight a few of those vehicles that kind of caught your eye, right?
Fantastic.
And we're going to start with the 70 Charger.
70 Charger. That car is amazing. It's right up front, kind of right out in front of where the salesmen sit, and it's for a reason because they all love that car. And I don't think that one's going to be here real long either, but the red with the black vinyl top. Now the vinyl top on that has got almost like a, almost looks like a alligator skin kind of pattern in it when
I
you
think
get up
that's
close.
what it was called.
And it is, when it first came in, everyone's like, that can't be factory. It's like, yep,
sure is.
That was an option on them, and the hideaway headlights and everything, and it's got a 440 engine in it. I think it was born originally 383, but it's a 440 now. And George, I got a pop question for you.
Sure.
Other than beer, do you know what it means when I say that car has a six-pack?
I do.
Wow.
Because of all the guys down along the wall over there. But that is 3 two-barrel carburetors.
Nice. See,
yeah.
I'm telling you, man, you got to be careful. You're going to become a car guy yet. You're only 1 year in, but
right.
You're getting dangerously close to knowing what the hell you're talking about.
And those Mopar guys, by the way, you and I both know they start checking numbers on fenders, across the radiator, everything, right? Mm-hmm. They're really passionate about those vehicles. And that top, which I call black, and I brought this up to you earlier. If you actually look that up, it's supposedly a very dark brown with hints of green, hence the gator top. It's black to me.
Are you telling me you believe it?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. If you get that out in the sunlight, what do you think it would look like?
Me and anyone else with normal eyesight would call that black.
This is where the least masculine things George says comes into play because I hear a lot of people use different terms for different colors.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Like with your wife, it's never just there's words like mauve and pewter and all of these things when they're trying to decorate, and I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Right? So
well, and also, speaking of weird, when's the last time you painted a wall goldenrod?
Is that actually something?
That's a color.
Golden Rod.
Mm-hmm.
The Golden Rod.
Speaking of which, no, just kidding. No.
So the Charger's down there, and like you said, it was originally a 383 car.
Correct.
And it's down there. It's restored, modified. It is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is an absolutely gorgeous car. And you'll see more of that, by the way. Go to our website, uniqueclassiccars.com. Jay has videos that you're all very familiar with. If you subscribe to this podcast and this YouTube channel, which you should, hit that button. You'll get notifications as we continue to progress through this. And we'll be available, by the way, on all platforms. Okay,
yeah, Spotify and the rest of them, absolutely. YouTube, there's over 100,000 actually 100 and I think we're over 102, 105. I don't know, I forget. 105,000 followers. So geez, don't be left out, man.
Don't
smash that subscribe button.
It's gonna be where it's all at.
Yeah.
Speaking of where it's at, this is the vehicle I would have loved to have in high school. We've got an 84 Chevy K10.
Yes, that truck. Literally reminds me. It takes me back to high school, envious days. Picture yourself. You're driving through whatever town. I don't care where you're at, right? And say it's 1987, and you look across this sea of crappy cars that is usually in a high school parking lot because it's everybody's hand-me-down. It's their first car. But then invariably, there's always one or two jacked up trucks that literally rise above the rest.
Yeah.
And I remember the guys in my high school that had those, and I'm like, oh my God, I want that truck. It looks, with the big tires and the chrome rims, and it was a regular cab short box. Back then, they had the big lights, up over the cab and all that. And oh my gosh, you'd give your left, to have one. And that's this truck. Yeah. This is the truck that the quarterback had, that the biggest jock had, whatever you want to call it, that he was that guy. This is that truck.
That's why they never last.
Right.
I mean, seriously, in 86, and I've told you this story, but I sold an 86 K10 this past summer, and the guy that bought it was with SOCOM, Special Operations Command in South Carolina, and he was Delta Force. And he would... Okay,
he's that guy.
And that's the guy that needs to drive that truck. Or if you want to look like a guy that's like that, buy the truck.
He's him.
Just buy the truck.
Yeah.
Just buy the truck.
He's him. I get it.
Also, something cool you brought in last week that really caught my eye, and you had actually emailed us, and you were like, this is coming in. Get ready. A 59 Impala.
And now it's here.
It's here.
It is here. So I'm a little bit of 1959 GM nerd, and if you don't believe me, let me show you. No, I'm just kidding. So this Impala came in. It's a four-door flat top, first off, right? So that's in my opinion, it's the coolest four-door you can get. It's the flat top. You roll all four windows down. There's no post or anything, so it's all wide open air. So that's the first thing that's cool. Second thing, 59, of course, cat eye tail lights, right? That's awesome. Third, this car is full on patina. So you look at it sitting there, and it's got rust color. It's not rusted out, but missing paint here and there, and rust color and things like this. I mean, the car looks like it just came out from behind the barn. That's what it looks like. But underneath, man, it's got a 6.0 LS in it. It's got an automatic transmission. The interior was freshened up and new. It's got brand new Dolphin gauges in it, 20-inch wheels. I mean, this thing it just oozes cool. The
interior is fantastic. Even the dash I saw across. And to give you an idea of the extent this guy went to, the hood on the engine, if you pop it, the cover on the top, he's got it matching the patina of the outside of the car.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a super cool car. So Impalas, I mean, those guys, when you said 59, if you're an Impala fan, you don't really have to elaborate. They're going to want the car.
Yep. Everybody knows that 59 Impala is, granted, it is a love-hate, but way more people love them than hate them because the styling was so radical.
Coming in here looking for your first car, I'm going to bring this up because I brought it up to you. When people shop here, a lot of them come in and when they say they're just looking, they literally are, because we have about 200 cars in our showroom, and once they walk through that front door, they're like, oh my God, where do I start?
Right, yeah. Right. I mean, think about it. Even if you go to, whatever, you go to a big box electronics store and you walk in the door and someone says, can I help you? First thing you say is what? Just looking.
Just looking.
But why are you saying that? You're saying that because you don't want to be bothered by somebody, usually, right? Here, people come in and, they might be entering in, they've wanted a car, but they really literally don't know what they want. And they walk through 200 cars and all of a sudden something strikes and it's like, it's love at first sight.
Right. I can give you an example. When I first started here, if you would have walked me into the showroom and you would have said, just if you're going to pick a car and you're going to dip your toes in the water, I would have taken a Corvette. I love Corvettes. You want to know why? And the great thing about them is they look cool, they're fun to drive, and they are actually somewhat affordable. Right? You can get right around that 20 grand mark if you do not have a vehicle and you want to get in. That's a great spot to start.
Oh, for sure.
Today I would be like, no, that's not what I'm looking for, right?
Right.
I mean, because you get confused because now you learn more about cars and you're like, well, do I want something that I can maybe get my hands on and do a little work in and learn more about the cars moving forward? And then there's a part of me that wants an FU car.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
We had a Shelby GT350 in here. I think it was a 2-stage Whipple that was in that car, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. That car, I took it out on 14. There's a nice stretch here between here and Owatonna. And the speed limit's 65. I drove at 66 miles an hour. So I can tell you the track package in that GT350 is legit.
So let me get this straight.
You're the boss.
We need to back up. One of two things is happening here.
Right.
Either you're lying to me, which I'm hoping for your masculine card you are.
Yeah.
Or B, you're the biggest wuss I've ever met. You really? You got a GT350 with a Whipple on it, and you went 66?
Well,
are you kidding me?
Well, I'm covering all my all the bases here. But the funny thing is, when I came rolling back in, true story. As I came back into the lot, I think it was the second time I had that car out, but right behind me, there's a couple of our Blue Earth County sheriffs. Yeah. Right, and they're not, and I'm thinking, oh shit, did somebody? And Derek, our shipping guy, is standing right outside. We pull up, and they go right by me because there was homeless people that had tried breaking in to some of the trailers over at Store, and they were looking for them.
Right.
So I was like, did 66 get a call? Did 66 miles an hour get a call?
Wow, that's paranoia. That's what that is.
But that would be a car right now that I would probably be very interested in.
That surprises me a little bit. You strike me more as a El Camino guy.
I like El Caminos. I think there was one. We've got a couple of them.
Yeah.
One that I sold that is now back because he wanted a Challenger, and this happens all the time in this business, right? You get a car, you drive it for a while, it's time for something new. But we do have some cool El Caminos here.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know why I was drawn to them. Initially, when I started, we had 2 of them in here. I got rid of both of them.
Yeah.
And one, by the way, we always talk about women. One was a retired registered nurse in Illinois.
That's right, and she was so stoked. I remember that. Now that you say that, she was geeked to get that car.
Yes,
so excited. Yeah, because that's funny. I forgot about that.
We hear that occasionally that they feel a little bit left out. They will not feel left out here. Nobody will feel left out. We want to invite you all in, right? To really appreciate this, and I hear this from all the guys that I sold to that flew in from across the country. Until you walk through the front doors and get to actually get and stroll through here, it's hard to explain to you the experience. It really is. It's a great experience.
Even a still photo or a snapshot of the showroom it honestly doesn't really do it justice. It's hard to gauge the quantity and the volume and that sort of thing. So it's pretty fun.
I'm looking forward to maybe checking in with you at Barrett Jackson later this week. I know that you're going to be down there. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Are you going to do anything fun?
Everything is fun.
I know
down
that
there,
it's
man.
fun because you always talk about what's about the cars. I know what you're going to be doing down there.
Oh, do you?
You're going to be tipping back some of the brown liquor and hanging out with the guys in the man caves.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance that it's all about common ground, George. And let's see. Do you like cars? Yep. Do you want a drink? Sure.
Yep.
Let me see. Should we turn the football game on? Yep. Sure.
Yes.
I mean, what is there to not enjoy? I mean, but that's one thing I do like about my job and going down there is that you can go through the auction and look at cars and all that stuff. But it's honestly, I look forward to the after hours and going to this guy's man cave and this guy's garage and looking at his collection. And then his buddy comes over and then you meet him and then you go see what he's got. And next thing you know, I love the fact that we've got there's a lot of folks that live down there or winter down there, and I get to go see them, and it's definitely it's a good time.
It's a good time. Well, we look forward to hearing from you, man. See what you come up with. Again, as we progress with this podcast, we'll cover a lot of things like that, and mostly what's happening right here because we have cars. It's a constant show.
Oh.
It really is.
Yep.
It is. It's a constant show here.
Literally every single day, the website gets updated with new stuff. The showroom gets turned over with new stuff, and there's always something coming and going. So yeah, I mean, it's funny. I'll talk to people and they'll see my shirt or and they'll be like, "Oh, hey, you're that place in Minnesota?" Yeah. I check your website a few times a year, and I kind of chuckle. I'm like, a few times a year, you're missing like 90% of the cars that we get in if you're only looking a few times a year. Like, you need to look daily, because it literally gets updated daily.
When you say that, it's no joke. I have been on the phone taking a guy's credit card number for a down payment, and have the vehicle sold out from underneath me. That's why I tell guys, if you see something that you're interested in, because of the reach that we have, it's best, if you got to do some thinking, do it quick.
Oh yeah.
We're not just saying that as a sales pitch.
No.
When they come in, if it's a hot car, odds are it's going to be leaving very quickly, right?
Yep, that's true. That's
so
true.
When in doubt, gas it.
Wow,
right?
That's true. But speaking of going to Barrett-Jackson, so when we were a vendor there, my brother and I would drive the truck, the trailer, our display, the show car, everything, right? And we, and you drive through, and we'd always go through Albuquerque, and I don't know if you ever watched it, but my brother and I both were into Breaking Bad, and the chicken little restaurant, the actual one they used is in Albuquerque. So we drive through or whatever, and it is literally in kind of a crappy part of town. And, it's not branded as that anymore. But as soon as you see it, you instantly can tell. And you walk in there, and then they've got the booth kind of taped off, or you can sit in the booth, rather, of where some of these conversations had taken place in the show and everything else. But were you a Breaking Bad guy?
I watched like 2 or 3 seasons of it, and then that was it. I just kind of fell off it.
So you're a quitter.
I'm not. I am a quitter. But again, unpopular opinion, in today's world, Yellowstone was just like one of the biggest hits ever, right?
Yep.
I watched a few episodes of that, and I was like, this is stupid.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
Are you trying to piss off our fan base before we even get started here? What are you doing?
I'll tell you why. And this is, you might be able to relate to this, but do you remember a show years ago? It was called The
Gunsmoke?
The Beverly Hillbillies?
It was just playing to your age, buddy.
It was called The Gangster Chronicles.
What?
Do you remember that?
No.
Okay. Well, anyways, it was a series that revolved around Dutch Schultz, Charles Luciano, Al Capone, all of the Genovese, all of these guys, right? Yep. So to me, those guys are the original gangsters.
The OGs.
Yeah. Not some guy that's riding around on a ranch in Montana that wants to be bad.
He doesn't want to be bad. See,
is it in Montana? Is that where that's at? Is that?
You're missing the point. He doesn't want to be bad. He's protecting what his family has earned and protected for over 100 years.
I think it's a bit over the top with Fantasyland for me.
Wow.
I like real gangsters. That's why when we get some of these cars in here, I'm like, we all need to pile in. Have a couple of Tommy guns hanging out the windows. I'll go down and get some pizza on Front Street.
Yeah. What could go wrong?
Yeah, I know that you're a real gangster fan as well.
I am. Well, the one car that the other thing car guys do is you talk about the cars that got away and the cars you got rid of. And I had the very, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. I had one of the Lincoln, they call them Sonny's cars, out of The Godfather. I'm a huge Godfather fan.
To explain the scene.
And when Sonny gets ambushed at the toll booth, in the 41 Lincoln, and the guy ducks down, and then it's just hellfire rains down, and he comes out and he's riddled with bullets and everything else. Well, I had one of the cars that there were. The Lincoln, there were 3 cars used. The hero car, what you see when he drives up, Jay Leno has that car. And then there were 2, what they called the bullet cars. Yeah. And I had one of the bullet cars that was used in the movie. And, and what they did is one of the cars was riddled with real bullets, and the other ones, they actually punched holes in the car, and then they masked the holes shut with little explosives underneath. So when you see the pop, 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 pop in the smoke, it was actually little explosives going off. And same thing on James Caan, they who played Sonny. They had little packets and little explosives. So when you see the white puffs like he's getting shot, that's what those were.
Right.
And I'm literally getting goosebumps right now.
I know.
If you're watching on YouTube, that's not a lie. That's how much I love that show. I love that scene, and I had that car.
Yeah.
And in a moment of weakness, I sold it.
I remember because the guy that bought it actually went back to the movie and looked at frame by frame
To verify.
was verifying that the vehicle was legit.
You know, talk about passion. We talked to him was it 2 days later, and his wife answered the phone. And she said that they were so elated when they got that car. She said her husband and her son slept in it the night it got there.
I believe it.
That's how excited they were to have that car. They literally slept in it in the garage.
I believe it. Again, real gangsters.
Yeah.
Not guys riding around.
Well, real TV gangsters.
Oh, come on. To me, that's when I think gangsters and guys like that's what I consider. That's why, to me, all this modern day stuff, I don't even know. The Yellowstone thing, you know what? At me. I don't care.
Yeah,
I spent 30 years in broadcast. You can at me.
Yeah,
I don't care. I don't care. All right, so we're going to check in with you in Barrett-Jackson a little bit later this week.
Correct.
Hopefully. Again, we're in the inception here with all our.
I mean, if you got the technology straight, we can make it work.
we'll try to make it work. So, can we go back to when in doubt, gas it? That's what you want to know where I learned that from? My father. And I don't know if. I do recall you telling me you got into motocross bikes and stuff too.
I
when you were
absolutely did not do that.
You did not?
Nope.
You weren't into motorcycles?
I could barely ride a bicycle.
Get
So
out.
no, I never got into dirt bikes and that kind of stuff. No.
I got a CR80 when I was probably 14 years old, and I had come up short on an embankment. Not that you should be riding in the ditches and jumping those things.
Right.
But I did, and I remember after the crash, my dad told me, he said, in the future, if you're thinking you're going to come up short, hit the gas, right? You always want to make it clear.
Sure.
And the same thing applies to cars, right?
So when in doubt, gas it.
When in doubt, gas it.
So why didn't you do that when you're driving that Shelby at 66 miles an hour like a pansy?
I did not gas it. How fast do you think I got that thing going?
66 apparently.
66 miles an hour. It's a beautiful car, but we'll get more of those. I did notice last spring Corvettes and Mustangs. I mean, we always have a good selection of them, but that really builds as we get into the warmer months. So
'tis the season, as they say.
'Tis the season. All right, we'll check in with Barrett-Jackson. Well, Jeremy at Barrett-Jackson coming up later this week. So when in doubt, there you go.
Gas it. We'll have to fact check that.